Hey, I want to share a testimony with you about my transformation from who I was in the world to who I am now with Jesus. And I also just want to ask you a question. If you consider yourself a Christian, do you have a former self? Can you look back and say, you were living in sin? You were living in this particular sin, that particular sin, and whenever you came to Jesus, you overcame those sins, and you stopped practicing those sins. Can you truly say that you have repented and changed your life for Jesus? My testimony starts a couple of years ago when I first met Jesus, and I did truly repent. I was in church. I even grew up as a Catholic, went to CCD, which is like a Catholic school. I did my first communion, and up until I was about maybe in 8th grade, I was pretty much a Catholic. Then I started to go to some Christian churches, and as I got older, when I was 18 and I was living on my own, I didn't really go to church. I didn't really do anything with God until I decided with my wife that I wanted to start serving God. He had shown me in a few ways that He was real, so we had decided to go to church. And He soon showed us also that the church wasn't pleasing to Him. We tried many different churches, but He showed us that the church system today has fallen, that they're just here to set their own kingdoms up, to really just for their own gain. The church is not speaking the true gospel or teaching the true gospel. They're not leading people to Jesus, to repent, to follow Him as a disciple. Now, there may be a church or two out there that does, but the main church system as a whole is not pleasing to Jesus. Well, for me, I walked with Jesus for a while, and I did repent. I did come out of sin, but there was a point where I backslid, and I went back into the world, and I started to pursue my own desires. I knew that I was walking away from Jesus, and I was choosing to serve the world. I did things that everyone else does in this generation. I really served money. I loved money. That's what I lived for. I had a sales career. I thought I was the Wolf of Wall Street. I loved the movie The Boiler Room. I wanted to be, a hotshot salesman. I worshipped sales. I knew that was my way to make money, which gave me the lifestyle that I wanted. And so, I would give my life to it. Every single day I would get up. It was about getting my mind right for sales. So I was really, really into that lifestyle, that career. And also I was into stuff like smoking weed. I liked to drink. I would get drunk. I would always try to have a beer when I would go to restaurants. I would go out on the lake and just get drunk. I would smoke weed every single day. I would go out and buy a decent amount of weed every time I would run out, and it would be enough to last me like a few weeks. And I would roll a joint in the morning. I would smoke weed just about as soon as I got up, usually on the way to work, or even before I even got dressed in the morning. I would smoke weed at lunch. I would smoke weed on a break. I would smoke weed when I got home with my wife. And I just wanted to be high all the time. I just always had to be high because it altered my reality. it made me think that I was kind of able to think at a greater level and able to process things at a different level. And it really did give me a different mindset, a different viewpoint on life and the things that were happening in my life. And the reason for that is because it was demonic. Jesus showed me that whenever I would get high, it would become a gateway for demons. They would show me things. They would talk to me. They would be putting the paranoia and the things in my mind that were shaping the things that I did in my everyday life. For instance, I would just get high and I would meditate on, how am I going to come up? What am I going to do? How can I change what I'm doing to be successful? What type of mindset do I need to be successful? I would think about, what is successful people? What are their mindsets like? What do they do? What are their rituals? And I would start incorporating those things into my life. The more that I did that, and the more that I desired to be successful, the more I realized who gives that sort of success and who gives that sort of lifestyle power. I started to realize that it was Satan. Satan is the god of this world and the god of this material world. Now, he's a god with a little g, but he is the one who gives you the power to succeed financially, to be a good salesman. He's the one that feeds that. Now, when I did realize that it was all for Satan, it still didn't stop me. I knew the truth of Jesus. I had backslidden and I had gotten into that position, but it still didn't stop me. Satan showed himself over and over again to me, and it just wasn't enough to steer me away because the desires of my flesh were too strong. I was addicted to weed. I was addicted to lust. I was addicted to pornography. I was addicted to money, even though none of that stuff made me 100% happy. It didn't make me as happy as following Jesus did. It only made me about 80% happy, but I just had the mindset that I was just going to ride that train until the wheels fell off. I was going to keep on going. I was going to live each day to my fullest, and I wasn't worried about tomorrow and what tomorrow was going to bring. I was living like a heathen. I was in the gym every single day for about 2 hours a day, and I was just so obsessed and focused on vanity, on my looks. I wanted to be, good looking and muscular and attractive, and I wanted to have a dominant presence. I cared about those things. Those things meant something to me because they meant something to the world. The world wants to see you attractive. They want to see you big and strong. They want to see you tan. They want to see you successful. They want to see you driving the nice car. And so that's all that I worked for. And, I liked it. I really did. I thought, this isn't too bad. I'm seeing some gains in the gym. I'm seeing some commission checks. I'm having fun. I'm getting a cool car, and I have a nice truck, and I'm doing all these things that, they're fulfilling me for now. I knew I would have to keep on grinding and keep on working to continue to satisfy myself, but I was willing to do it until Jesus decided to soften my heart. My heart had been hardened for 3 years. I was living like that for 3 years. Again, I was smoking weed every day. I was thinking I was Wolf of Wall Street as a salesman. I was ripping people off. I was swindling people. I was making sales any way I could without breaking the law. I was just a manipulator, and I was proud of it. I was going to the gym every day to look good for myself and for other people. I wanted big biceps. I wanted to be tan. I wanted six-pack, you know. I was posting pictures of myself without my shirt on Instagram. I was doing just reckless things. And when Jesus finally shook me and woke me up was the day that I had received a promotion. I was no longer going to be working from home. I was working from home, which was already a promotion. I was at home. I had my computer and my phone set up at the house. So I literally could sit at home on my balcony in the sun, getting a suntan, and manipulating people on the phone in sales and make money. You know, I was living what I thought was a great life, was a cool life. And then I got a promotion to where I could go back to the office and actually work from the office in an office and have the opportunity to take over a small sales team and slowly become a manager. You know, so all of these things were seeming like the next level for me in the world. I was looking at it as if I had attracted those things. It was like a pinnacle of what I had created for myself. I was really into the law of attraction and willing things into existence and creating my own reality, positivity. You know, I was basically submitted to that doctrine. That's what I lived my life around. And so this was a really big moment for me. You know, like I said, I thought everything was coming together. So the day that I was supposed to go into the office, the first day I was going to be actually working in my office, excuse me, my wife got into an 8-car pileup, an 8-car accident on a Texas highway doing about 70 miles per hour. She called me, and immediately after she got into the accident, I was laying in bed, and I knew as soon as the phone rang that she was either dead or something terrible happened, because that was always my biggest fear while I was living in the world. Because I knew if one of us died at any point living in the world, we were going straight to hell. And the majority of the responsibility was on my shoulders. So from that day forward, I decided, and my wife decided, that, you know, life is too short to be living in sin and living for the world, because those things, they don't hold up in the end. You know, an eternity in hell isn't worth 100 years of pleasure on earth. And, you know, we decided that we want to live for Jesus. We want to give our life for Jesus, and we want to endure with him until the end. That's all that's going to matter at the end of the day, is if we lived for Jesus, if we truly turned from our life of sin